South African players are not evolving. I've watched so much football over the past few months, years, where it just seems like we're just stagnant and not moving forward. It seems that there's an over-reliance on natural ability and not enough on actually growing the players into their positions. I've always said that if you stop a PSL match, let's say 57th minute, you stop a PSL match and you say to them, why are you standing there? Why did you make that pass? Why did you run that way? I doubt we'd get actually good answers from a lot of our players, and that is a worry. And it's not to say that natural ability or natural talent is a bad thing. It's part of the reason why you get scouted. It's part of the reason why you stand head and shoulders above other people who may not be as talented as you. But once you get into the big leagues, you have to be competing. And fine, internal to the PSL, it might be fine to just be a natural ability player and know how to do the basics of your position. But when you go outside and you look at other countries, when you go and compete internationally, through club competitions or through the national team, you start to see the glaring differences between international players and our players. And I think the saddest part is that our players aren't necessarily bad. In most cases, they're physically more gifted, they're technically more gifted, they know naturally they can play the game a bit better. But where those other countries and continents beat us is when it comes to the actual little techniques, tips and tricks and things. I can be a natural striker and I can score, let's say, one-on-ones every single time. But what happens when I'm not in a one-on-one? How do I read the game? How do I run off of the shoulder of a defender? How do I space myself? These are things that you don't necessarily see, especially in the PSL. And by the time we want to give these players this knowledge, it's far too late. You can't wait until you're 25, 26 in order for Sundowns to come scout you for you to learn how to play your position in full. Learn how to think the game. If there's one thing Pitso gave to Mamelodi Sundowns, it's that Mamelodi Sundowns players think the game. They think the game all the way through. You can tell that they're moving and adapting as they're playing. Whereas you'll find other players who even the basics elude them. Imagine not knowing how to keep a defensive line straight in order to catch somebody offside. Imagine not knowing how to put the ball down and make a pass. Some of the basics really do leave our players. And that's where, again, Europe has us. They're not the most physically gifted, but the spaces they can exploit, the way they think the game. Think of Banyana at the World Cup. I can definitively say none of those teams played us off the park. In fact, we look better than some of those teams. But when push comes to shove, the smaller, finer details, we couldn't beat them. And that's why we keep seeing European teams in finals of the World Cup. We keep seeing European clubs killing us. We keep seeing better football from that side. It's not because they have more talent than us, but it's because they take it seriously. I watch a lot of sports from overseas. I watch a lot of sports from overseas. Things like the NFL and NBA and things like that. And the players there break down the game down to the smallest details. This defender did this, so I ran like this. I've been coached to see this in the game and then take it and move forward like this. When the ex-player is running like that, I know that my space is going to come from here, so I move into there. All these little finer details that we're missing. We cannot have players who are 26, 27, 28 who are still playing the exact same way they were playing when they were 18. We cannot have our football be at such a low quality. We'll speak about coaching and all of the other factors in other videos, but today I wanted to focus on these players, professionals who do this for a living, twice a day, every day, they're training. They've got analysts, they've got physical therapists, they've got psychologists, they've got coaches, they've got assistant coaches, goalkeeper coaches, striker coaches, but yet this is what we see on a daily basis. I don't know if you guys, I remember watching a match where a game was played at 3 or something like that, and then Sundowns was playing a CAF game at 6. And the big difference between what I watched at 3 and what I watched at 6 was so apparent. It was so glaring. The difference of level between the type of football we're watching. And this is our Premier League. Our players need to get better. Idolize Ronaldo. Idolize Messi. Idolize Xavi. Idolize whoever you want to idolize. But learn from them too. Study them. Learn how to move. Learn how to think the game. Analyze games. Kolo Toure once had a quote where he said the difference between what he's seen with today's players, because he was coaching young players, what he's seen with today's players and back in the day was that today's players have to be told everything. They can't think for themselves. They can't move. They have to look to the coach for the coach to tell them exactly what to do in every single moment. Whereas with them, he said Arsene Wenger would give them a formation, would put them onto the pitch, but it was up to you guys to solve a lot of the issues there. And that's not what I'm seeing. Can't be that you're 3-0 down to Orlando Pirates and you guys don't think, you know what guys, let's defend a little better. Can't be that you're sitting and Pirates is 4-0 up, Skukune, and you're still committing everybody forward and nobody on the pitch is saying, guys, you, left back, Mobi, come back, please. Let's try and stabilize this thing. You'd imagine that is basic thinking. Royal AM couldn't control a back line to just stay in line. And those are our professional, full-time, well-paid players. And I don't know, maybe we grew up in a different era. I didn't play any professional football. But you can marshal a line. You can talk to each other. You can position each other. But we're not seeing that from our well-experienced professionals. And that is the difference between really good players and world-class players. The little things. The small details. And if your clubs aren't giving you that, players, go out and find it for yourselves. Go out and improve. In fact, go out and give us better effort on the pitch. A lot of the time, we're not seeing any effort from these players. You can only ever watch 3 or 4 teams that are trying to give it their all. It's amazing that you got there. You were lucky to get there. You're one of the lucky few people who could dream to even play this football. So work on yourselves. Improve yourselves. Give your all on the pitch. Realize that you're playing for us, fans. We love you guys. But the quality you guys are playing at, the effort you guys give is not up to par. And that needs to change. So to round off, players, please go out and better yourselves, better your play, give your all. Then you'll see fans get excited. Then you'll see yourselves become superstars. Then you'll see full stadiums. Then you'll see your names on jerseys. But until that point, why would I watch it? Why would I watch you instead of everything else at my disposal? Why wouldn't I watch the EPL? Why wouldn't I watch Sundowns? Why wouldn't I watch African games over you guys? Why would I get into my car and drive to a stadium? Go into a place, buy a jersey and put your name on the back? We need you guys to improve. And we need our football to improve.